This is shakedown day for our rebuilt and newly installed engine, and we're off on a run to the seaside for fish and chips. I don't publicise the Panther's condition to riders turning up at the start. Taking a just rebuilt motorcycle on a group ride is not without risk, and not only because others will witness the shame of a failure. There's a danger that you'll ride more briskly than is wise, or press on when the sensible course of action would be to turn back. Past test rides have featured inlet valves nipped in the guide, a Panther speciality, and before I discovered Loctite and spring washers, the odd minor component has gone bouncing down the road. I had intended to perform a gentle test on the rebuilt 1955 Model 100 when I set out the route for this run, but our chosen day dawned wet, and Angie and I sketched it out from inside the car. As a compromise today, I am riding Sweeper, with just a matchless and a new Royal Enfield Interceptor in the rearview mirror. Everyone has a tulip route sheet, and we'll meet up at our Midway coffee stop. This is the A47 trunk road at Green, Peterborough, with a start point offering fuel and facilities. Keen to make our lunch destination around 1 p.m, I have set a brisk first section along the main Leicester to Norwich road. In deference to a 5-mile-old engine, I make gentle accelerations and restrict my miles per hour to about 45. This has the occasional truck passing us, but gives the new bore an easier time. People speak sometimes of misplaced optimism, but I believe that optimism can never be misplaced, although admittedly it may sometimes be lost. Optimism has no hold over present or past. It applies only to the future. So suppose for a moment that, sitting here in a state of Panther rider's bliss, we are utterly unaware of a forthcoming disaster, say a conrod whose hairline crack is close to that critical point where it can no longer withstand the enormous forces being visited upon it. And then, bang! I whip in the clutch and coast to the side of the road to find the engine covered in oil and the magneto hanging by its high-tension lead. It may take me a moment to recognise the item which has replaced that magneto, but once I accept that I'm looking at the lower half of a conrod and riding further is out of the question, what is more vital than the spirit of optimism which delivered us here? Well, maybe that and the breakdown service. few miles further on, we take to more interesting and arguably more appropriate side roads through the villages to our coffee stop, 34 miles out. At the garden centre on the A10 between Ely and King's Lynn, I'm puzzled to be among the first to arrive, until matchless rider Terry appears to explain.
Nice little run. Very nice. Where are the rest of them though? How's it running? The matchless going all right?
I didn't say a lot.
Hello. Hi.
The gentleman leading us pulled over after Guyhern and announced that he was lost, so I just led them here along the A1101. I think he should have turned right and gone to Friday Bridge, shouldn't he? But yeah, he turned left, so he ended up coming around with me, cutting a big corner off, which is why we're here early.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We all settle in for coffee and chat at the cafe as sun breaks through. Riders are agog at a full-sized plastic pig of the non-reliant type on sale among the plants. $1 grand, someone says. At that price, you could have a real one and eat it. Given an even trickier second section, I am voted leader when we resume our ride. After a few miles on the main road, we take a right turn towards Swaffham, followed by a left onto back roads. This is the start of a zigzag route, approximately parallel to a notoriously clogged section of coast road around the old port of King's Lynn. Air-cooled motorcycles don't appreciate traffic queues, and a tight new engine ticking over for a long time can get very hot and bothered. I'm reminded of a ride with POC friend Ian, sharing the pilot's seat of his wonderfully original Model 100 and Blacknell sidecar. Here it is behind our 120 Busmar outfit, leaving a meeting in Oxfordshire on New Year's Day 1987. How are we for time? Oh, I think we can fit in a brief anecdote. The previous year, just after Ian acquired the outfit, we rode it, largely untried, from East Anglia to a weekend rally in Malton, Yorkshire. The Panther suffered a couple of minor nip-ups on the way there, with us making carburettor adjustments as we went. Here are a couple of pictures when it was my turn in the sidecar. A novelty. We enjoyed a great rally, but heading homeward on the Sunday evening, ran into crawling traffic on the A1, a trunk road running down the spine of England. Rather than risk more trouble, we cut the engine, rolled onto the hard shoulder and pushed to let the Panther cool down. The stop-start traffic was so slow we were soon overtaking cars and lorries on the inside, while fuel consumption fell to 0. At the roadwork, we fired up and eased back into the flow for a trouble-free run home. I keep focus on the roller at my handlebars, conscious of the mirth which will descend if I should get lost riding my own route. In fact, I'm so attentive on the road and the following tail in my rear mirror that I give barely a thought to the Panther's welfare. But I trust in my subconscious mechanic to register and report on anything unusual in the behaviour of a bike I know so well. Leading a group run is a skill in itself. Every man or woman for themselves works in some scenarios, but not here. There's a risk that I will end up taking lunch alone while my tail scatters to the four winds. Don't laugh, I've been on runs where that happens, with further fragmentations as one after another rider calls it a day and heads for home or back to the rally site. For interest, let's see how long it takes me, the leader, to negotiate the junction ahead. That was 21 seconds. So if we assume that each of the 10 following riders takes as long, it'll be 210 seconds or 3.5 minutes before the last man gets clear. An average speed on back roads, on a snail's pace run such as this, might be 30 miles per hour or half a mile a minute. So by my finger arithmetic, when the last rider gets clear, I will be 2 miles ahead. Even assuming a clear road with no immediate redirects, that last man will soon be breaking speed limits to catch up. This is my kind of road, linking sleepy villages and tree-fringed fields. After a few miles we enter the Crown lands around the royal estate of Sandringham, with its sunlit woods and grand avenues. Tall flint walls hold back the hoi polloi of oil-stained motorcyclists and caravan-toting holiday makers. As we pass through, the sun goes in again, and the village of Dersingham sets us on a new course back towards the A149 Coast Road. It's much quieter here than to the south, and in 60 miles the new engine has still done nothing to alarm me. Conveniently, at Heacham, the four-way lights go red as I approach, so we won't be split up. I hear the rumble of engines behind, and when Terry pulls alongside on his WD matchless G3L, I grab the camera mount and twist it to put him in shot. Crack. The transparent support plate breaks off in my hand. Like a hamster, I stuff my cheeks with it, and we ride the last miles. At Hunstanton seafront, there is a single bike on the free weekday motorcycle parking. Bob, who has ridden to join us on his MZ Trophy, today's token two-stroke. Among appreciative comments on the run route, somebody mentions a little smoke from the Panther's exhausts, and I back off the oil feed valve spring, assembled for increased flow for those first miles.
Great route. Brilliant. Really good. Want it to end.
How have we done for time? Oh, we're absolutely spot on 1 o'clock. That's great.
I got here a bit early.
I spotted your bike, Bob.
Huh?
I spotted your bike.
I thought you might. It was the only one here.
A giveaway, isn't it? We're absolutely spot on 1 o'clock.
You are. You are. That's brilliant.
Oh, good.
Not like me. I sit here, but
Yeah.
that was a few years back.
Right. I come quite often here for there's a Norton Day, Norton Runners
Yes,
Club Day.
yeah. I've been here for Norton Day.
Have you?
That was-
Right.
Yeah, when Centenary, wasn't it? No, not the Centenary.
So everybody's here. Didn't lose anybody.
We enjoy a grand fish and chip lunch on a rather dull, cool day, and there's little enthusiasm for ice creams or paddling in the sea. But sugared donuts are consumed before we set off for home.
12, there are 12, yes. Yeah.
Very nice route.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well done, Jonathan.
Thank you.
I rolled in pretty chuffed with the new engine's performance, until Angie downloaded from her phone the film of my departure. I had hoped for better from a honed cylinder and new rings. Presumably things did settle down later, because though my riding companions are not unkind, surely no one could describe that as a little smoke. Still, we have plenty of oil in the shed, so I'm not rushing to investigate until the new engine has covered a few more than that first 100 miles.